the Ruger Wrangler. Let's check it out. Ruger's been making single action revolvers since the 1950s, and they have a whole line going all the way up from 22 all the way up to 44 Magnum. They're very popular with the cowboy action sports and just the shooting community. With their Bearcat and their Single Six, I mean, they're just great quality firearms. But because of manufacturing processes and the fitting that goes into revolvers, they can be expensive. And so Ruger just introduced their Ruger Wrangler. This is a 22 single action pistol. They've cut down on some of the manufacturing processes to make this pistol about half the price of your Ruger Single Six. And yet it still has that Ruger quality. Now, the Wrangler was sent by Ruger to be part of the Getzone Holiday Gift Guide, which we do every year. But I wanted to take it and do a full review right here on the Suits channel. Guys, there's just something about a single action revolver. Taking it to the range slows things down. These were designed in the 1800s, and they are still viable because you can still get modern calibers for them. About anything that fits a revolver, you know, they have single actions for them. And there's a number of companies that make them, but to me, as far as a good, solid single action revolver, Ruger makes some of the best. And typically fairly reasonable compared to some of the others. But one of the things about the Wrangler is it was made to be budget friendly. And yet it still has good Ruger quality. Now, this is pretty much based on the Ruger Single Six, and that's been around since 1953. And then the Ruger Bearcat, which is a smaller version. This is in 22 long rifle, and we're going to go ahead and check to make sure the cylinder is empty and we have an unloaded firearm. Now, here I have a 1961 vintage Single Six. The bluing is impeccable. It has nice, beautiful wood grips. I mean, it's just a gorgeous firearm. And the mechanics are very smooth. And let's go ahead and check to make sure the gun's unloaded, which we've already safety checked. We've got to lift the hammer back to turn that cylinder, and then we're good to go. One of the biggest differences you see right off the bat is the Cerakote finish on the Wrangler, which is less expensive to produce than the deep cold bluing that's just absolutely incredible. But one of the big advantages of Cerakote is it will help protect against rust and against moisture and against corrosion over the standard bluing. When you have a blued firearm like this, you've got to keep it maintained. You know, a little closer than you do your standard finish like this. It's less expensive to produce. The cold bluing takes a lot more polishing. And so that is one of the first things that the Wrangler has going, but it also, again, has an advantage with this finish. Now, it comes in this bronze color, but it also comes in a silver finish, a black finish, and there are some limited runs on green and some others. You can go to the Ruger website to check that out. The other thing about this handgun is that it has an aluminum alloy receiver. Now, you're shooting 22 long rifles, so you don't have the high pressures of a lot of your centerfire calibers. It lessens the weight, but it actually costs less. It's a cast piece of aluminum that's been machined, CNC machined, and one of the things they've done as well is to make that process more modern and less expensive. And then we have the grip, which is a zinc alloy. And so we've got a lighter weight firearm than this all steel Single Six, but yet we still have the same capabilities with the Wrangler. Also, when it comes to fluting the cylinder, that's another process that makes it more expensive. Here we have a non-fluted cylinder. Of course, the cylinder is steel and the barrel. In fact, the barrel is a cold hammer forged steel, and so that's going to give you good accuracy and longer life. But now on the Single Six, we have milled parts. I mean, these are very well finished. Here on the Wrangler, this is MIM parts, and they're great for 22, but you know, they're just those standard parts that still work. Bring it back. It's a stainless steel trigger. It's just a nice, solid feel to it. Now you'll notice there's only 2 clicks. One of the things you'll see here is we have a transfer bar. And you can see this bar kind of come up, and this actually protects the firing pin. If this is dropped with the hammer on the chamber, it's not going to accidentally fire around. And so that is a safety feature that Ruger's been employing for a number of years, in fact for decades. This 1961 model does not have the transfer bar. And so traditionally what single action revolvers, or people that carry them, usually keep 1 round out of the chamber. One thing you'll also notice is this has a little cock, then it has a half cock, which you have to have the half cock and able to spin the cylinder. Another thing about the original Single Sixes is they don't spin the other direction. And then you bring it back for your fire. One thing too, you'll notice this really thin little trigger, and that's on the original models. They've updated that for the newer Single Sixes. But on the Wrangler, we don't have a half cock. There's no place to cock it. It's just all the way back and you're ready to fire. Now, another thing I'm going to show you is that we can spin the chamber with the hammer in the down position. And not only can we spin it this way, we can also spin it the other direction, which is actually a plus, because one of the things that a lot of people do with their Single Sixes is they have a part installed and it disables what locks that cylinder in one direction, and it's about $55–60 to have it done. And so this is actually a little bit of an advantage, being able to spin that cylinder anyway, because what happens is if you load a round in the chamber or you miss a round, you go too far, with the Single Six you got to keep spinning it until you get to it. With the Wrangler, you can just bring it back up and load your round. The loading gate on the Single Six, though, is a little bit easier to access. It's a little bit open and more wide. With the Wrangler, it's a little tougher to get a hold of, but honestly, it's not too bad. Now, the sights on this Single Six are the original sights. It's just a blade sight. On the newer models, they do have adjustable sights, and then we have a blade here at the front. One thing about the Wrangler is it's just a groove right down the center, and you line up that blade. And to be honest, it's good and suitable, more like the Vaquero types fixed sights or just built-in sights, but that also gives you some protection with your sights. And so negative or advantage, you just have to decide, but for the price, it keeps it down. And the grips are interchangeable between the two, and also they'll fit in the same holsters. But the grips on the Wrangler are really nice, a lot of good texturing right here. You do have your Ruger logo. Good solid feel, just like your Single Six. Here we have our ejector rod, and so when you pop open your cylinder, take your ejector rod, just push it through, and you can empty out those shells, those empty shells. But it's got a good solid lockup, very evenly finished. I mean, everything is just well done. Now, originally I'd gotten a hold of a silver version. In fact, my local gun shop, he let me borrow it so I could start the review, and so we got a lot of range time with it. But then we got the bronze version in, and to be honest with you, with this black accent, I love this bronze color. I mean, there's a lot of inexpensive single action revolvers out there that are just cheaply made, and really for 22 they'll do fine, but the quality with the Ruger is superior in my opinion. I mean, it's just got a good solid feel to it. It's Ruger, got a reputation for Ruger, and honestly, I just really think this is a great option. And it doesn't break the bank, which is a big thing. Now, as far as cleaning goes, all you need to do is push down on this little pin right here. It releases a detent, and you can pull out your cylinder pin. And then we open up our loading gate, and we can pull the cylinder right out. Very nicely blued. Great finish. We have recesses here, so the round actually fits down. The rim fits into the chamber itself right here, and not on the outside of the cylinder, which some do, and they headspace that way. You can shoot shorts in here. You can shoot snake shot. You can shoot anything, honestly, that's 22 long rifle. It'll just fit in here. Subsonics, it doesn't matter. And because it's a single action revolver, you know, you don't have to worry about necessarily, you know, it functioning and the reliability. It's just a lot more reliable when it comes to that. Now, it's only 6 shots, and honestly, this is great for maybe pest control, going out and plinking at the range. So this is not necessarily a self-defense option, but, you know, 22 long rifle can do it, but not highly recommended. And you'll notice that the hammer does have some relief cuts in it, and also the back of the trigger. But again, this is stainless steel, even though they're injected parts. And that just definitely cuts down on the manufacturing process. The barrel is 4 5/8 inches in length, and again, it is cold hammer forged. So the barrel, the cylinder, your hammer, your trigger, the internal parts, all these are going to be steel. Of course, your springs. Really just the housing itself is the alloy. It really gets that weight down. Now, this is a 2-pin receiver, and these are pins. You drive those out. I would not recommend that unless you really kind of know what you're doing. You don't really need to. And then we have the older model. This is a 3-screw, and so this is definitely one of those older versions, but I'm going to tell you, that's just a beautiful sound. And the weight on the Ruger Wrangler, 1 pound, 14.2 ounces. Weight on the all steel Single Six, 2 pounds, 1.4 ounces. It's going to give you a much lighter handgun to carry, you know, if you're on the trail, if you're backpacking, even if you're hunting. I mean, it's just a lighter option. And this finish is going to be great for the outdoors. Now we're going to check the trigger pull weight. We're going to drop in these little snap caps. It's not really good to dry fire a 22 rimfire unless it specifies that it's okay. Bring back our hammer. You can see it comes back to a pretty far position. Nice break. Just a little bit of resistance, but not anything bad. Right there. Let's check that against our Single Six. Oh. Okay, that's a much better trigger pull, just a little bit less weight, but not bad. Okay, we're going to check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. Keep your hand away from that because it'll hurt. 4 pounds, 1.2 ounces. 4 pounds, 5 ounces. We've got a bunch of Federal match we're going to be using, and just happen to have some of this stuff laying around, but with 6 rounds, this goes a long way. Taking a single action revolver down to the range, man, it just really slows things down. I mean, there's no rapid pull of the trigger. You just pull that hammer back and fire. And again, it just gives you the feeling of the Old West. It's just a time of yesteryear. But yet, it's still a very viable firearm and very modern made. So, you know, you've got good quality. And Ruger does a great job with their single actions. And it's no less than the Wrangler. The low recoil, the low muzzle blast, cheap to shoot, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just a pleasure to pull that hammer back, line up your sights, and just take those shots. Yes, you can shoot this fairly quickly, even though it is single action, but it just really does take things to another level. And guys, in a world of polymer frame striker fire pistols, it's nice to get out and just enjoy just the art of shooting, getting down your fundamentals. Now the price on the Ruger Wrangler is $249 MSRP, which you can get that for around $175 to $199, according to where you look, market price. With the Single Six, from what I'm seeing, they're not really making the original Single Six without the convertible 22 Magnum cylinder, which to me is just a great choice. I had one years ago and I sold it and I've regretted it ever since. But they do come now with a 9-round cylinder, a 10-round cylinder, and also 7 rounds, and multiple calibers, multiple barrel lengths, and they do have the convertibles with the 22 Magnum cylinder, and those are running around the $600 range thereabout as far as manufacturer suggested retail. And so you'll probably be able to get these for about $5.25 to $5.50. And so again, it's about half the price or even less than your standard Single Six in all the different configurations. And they also make these in different calibers as well. So you have to really decide, do you want that blued finish? And of course, it's not quite this type blue on the new models, or you want the convertible cylinder. I mean, that is a huge plus. You can get these in stainless steel. I mean, there's a lot of options with the Single Six and the Bearcat for that matter. But if you want something budget friendly that you can just take out to the range, you know, you can buy a couple of these. One in bronze and one in silver or black. So guys, if you're looking for a single action 22 that has really good quality and yet it doesn't break the bank, one of the best options I think out there is the Ruger Wrangler. I mean, the price is right, coming in at $249, manufacturer suggested retail. So you know you're going to be able to get it for less. Got a number of different color options. It just makes it fun, and it might even inspire you to go out and buy you a cowboy hat. And again, I want to thank Ruger for sending the Wrangler for this review, and also to Getzone for putting together the holiday gift guide. Guys, I'll have a link down below in the description. I mean, we show a lot of different handguns, rifles, accessories, and it just gives you some ideas for the holidays. And Getzone.com is a very strong Second Amendment video platform. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Actually corrode. I mean, it's impervious, not impervious. Just a lot of fun. It just slows things down again. It makes things.
I do, ma'am.
And then we open up the loading gate and you can pull your chamber. No. We got to do that all over again, Porter.
I feel like the Marlboro Man.
We're going to check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. Oh yeah, that hurt.
I'm a Wrangler, and I got a Ruger Wrangler.